First of all, I'd like to thank this council for submitting this question.
Yeah, it's probably COVID. I just tried to talk.
Okay, we can get started. It's a little bit after 5:30 for our council workshop, September 27, 2022. So the reason for our workshop today is our council members to discuss the proposed 2023 budget received by the administration. To be clear, this is not a council budget. This is an administration budget. So it's our duty to go through this budget. And if we have any questions, any discussions that we want to submit to administration, we want to go ahead and do that tonight. So again, this is not a public hearing for the public. The public's invited because we have 3 or more council members present tonight. So anytime we have that, it's always open to the public, but there's not a public discussion tonight. I would advise anyone from the public that either hears this or comes in tonight to, if they have any concerns or any questions after tonight's meeting, to contact their councilman or any of us on the council for any further discussion about this budget. So the way we're going to do this tonight, everybody has a copy and a binder of the proposed budget in front of them. We're going to take each tab, and there might not be any questions on some of the tabs, and there might be a few on some of them. So what we would like to do is just go by each, we're not going to go by each line item, but we'll give the opportunity for each council member to look at that tab. If they have any discussion on a certain line item, we want to go ahead and address it tonight. And then our council clerk is going to go ahead and consolidate any questions for administration and for their review. And then, of course, administration will get back in touch with us on any of the answers so we can move forward. Our next meeting or workshop with the administration and department heads will be October 25th in these chambers at 5:30 p.m. And again, that's going to be the opportunity for administration to be present and department heads so we can go ahead and ask any questions for them. So basically, council, if you have anything that you want our council clerk to consolidate for administration, if you would give her the tab number, the page number and a line item, it'll help her go back to that if she's trying to, get her language on the question properly done, so we can go ahead and just get started. So basically, if we just go to tab number 1, let's get that. And you are going to have to use your microphones if needed. So anything in tab number 1 that any discussion, and just for the record, I know some of the council members have already submitted some things to our council clerk. So just because it's not discussed tonight during this workshop, that don't mean it has not been addressed. So again, this just gives us the opportunity to discuss any items. So that being said, the council can just interact how they feel fit, and just tell the council clerk if you want her to list it as a question for administration.
So the first question I have already on this is on the land, on tab 1. It says land acquisition is $200,000. I'd like a little bit more of an explanation as to, is there a certain a parcel that they're interested in? Is it for public works, for like our sewer plant, or parks and recreation? What exactly are they talking about? There's nothing here that says anything about it.
Well, if they were here tonight, they could tell us, but they're not. but I know what it is. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I don't say that the price is 200,000, but they maybe put an estimate. I think it's gonna be a dog park, okay? That's the land I think they're purchasing.
So we already own that land for the dog park. I know that. What I think it is, and again, assumptions, so I don't want to put a quote, there is a piece of land that is splitting two pieces that we already own by Public Works Shed, and I think they're looking to purchase that so that we don't get surrounded, like, we can own that. It's a better fit. That's what it is.
I think
Yeah.
you're right.
I don't know the exact location of it, but I think that's what it is.
I think you're right.
I think that's what he did, was put money aside in order that he can acquire that land. That's what it is.
I'm
The public works by Pondview?
And don't quote me, but I think so, yes, yes.
Well, I think this illustrates what we're doing. So for those that are, the public that's here and watching and at home, I think the public needs to recognize and understand that administration is not here. And this is the council here because the three council members, any more than that is a violation of the Sunshine Law. So that's number one to put out there. Number two, John, it's an excellent question because I've asked what the 200,000 is for, and this illustrates why we'll need administration here to answer the question, because we don't know what the land is. We speculate, but that's our job to oversee it. And piggybacking off of our council president's comments, which were spot on, page 1 of the budget, and I need to make this clear because I get this from time to time. This budget is presented to the council. It is a mayor's budget. It is the mayor's budget. It is not the council's budget. It is our job and responsibility to oversee it, to monitor it, and to make sure that it gets passed in a fashion which is good for the citizenry. So with that being said, John, it's a good question, and just by this conversation, perhaps the public can see that we see a $200,000 allocation. We think what it's for. We speculate what it's for, and we need that answer. So it's a very good question.
And we have the clerk that already wrote that down for you.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of this, the questions about going through this is to be transparent to the public, so they can see that, this is what we're doing instead of submitting, blind emails that they have no clue that we actually submitted these. And to go through this, so if they're looking for it, they're at the budget, which they have every right to do so, that if they have these questions, we can compile these for the administration, and that our next budget meeting, that they will be able to answer the questions that we come up with tonight.
And so the public recognizes and understands, which I'll do this a few times, on September 19th, I asked the administration why there was $200,000 set aside for the land acquisition predicated on council approval, so that it is an open illustration of how the council and the administration reacts. I haven't yet received a response, but I'm sure I will.
Anything else on 1?
Yeah, I would like to add that there is a River Forest SSES repairs for $650,000 for next year, which is great. But then there's nothing allocated for the next 4 years on that. So just curious to know that, is there any intentions to also put money into River Forest? Because there's so much to be done as far as repairs go. Is there a plan for the next 4 years?
What page is that?
That is going to be page 3 on tab 1.
Tab 1,
Five-year
right?
capital improvement.
Okay. All right, the council clerk's writing it down. Okay.
And another thing,
I had,
go ahead.
go ahead, I'll go after you.
On the parks and playgrounds, still on page 1 of tab 1, it says land improvements, park improvements to be determined, 150,000, and military boat launch, looks like not till,
800.
yeah, that's
850.
nothing this year, but
Nothing this year.
yeah, but projected to 850 for 2024. The land improvements and stuff with the thing, I would like to kind of know a little detail on that, because I'm looking at the ozone and the recreation committee. I know that Councilman Smith and Councilman Joey and myself are looking at putting a playground in there. I'd like to know for sure that that's included in his parks land improvements.
That's important, yeah.
A little bit more detail on that.
I would also like to add for the same thing like John's saying, I would like to know that the proposal that was sent for Peter Atkins is going to be included in that also. I don't think this maybe even will cover that. We don't know. we need more details on it.
Right, that's what I'd ask, just more specifics on the parks area.
She is right. Okay, so we still, are we clear on the one?
No, I've got.
I got one more to add too, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead, Pete.
Mark. I want to know why, I see the very first line, it looked like we dropped the modernization down to 50,000. I would like to know, like, what all we cut out of that? What's the details of that?
Oh, for the council
For the
chamber?
council chambers, right.
Okay, anything else on one?
The only other thing I know is that at the Bogafalaya launch, there was an issue with the, when the low water was there was like a protective cover that was put on, that had come off. From what I understand, it hasn't been repaired yet. And I'd like to know if that's part of this plan as well, if they're gonna repair that. Since it is a kind of a, it's not a hazard when the water's high enough, but when the water drops down low, which we know it does from time to time, I wanna make sure that that's gonna be addressed and taken care of.
Okay, anything else?
Yep, under utility billing, we have $300,000 for small meter replacements. I'm all for it. We've had some serious issues and problems in the utility billing department. I think those have been squared away. My concern is that ever since I've been on the council, there has been a meter replacement, and it's been a large number. It's been a eye-popping number, and I'm not saying we don't need it, but I thought we were already gone down that road. So I think I need an explanation. The council deserves an explanation as to what is it they're replacing now, and why didn't we do it when we budgeted it the last go around? And then lastly, and this is more just maybe a request rather than a question, but I see under the police Capitol building for repairs and upgrades to renovate the outdated administrative offices, but that looks like it's not going to be done until 2024. I think our police officers work very hard. I think we've done a good job of getting fully staffed, and their offices are in need of repair, and it's $30,000. I would request that the administration look to see if they could shift that over to 2023.
I would like, I don't know if Joanne's caught up. I would like to see something that specifies in the street, in District 8, that there will be some type of drainage or sidewalk repair in District 8. I see other streets labeled, but I don't ever see anything that says we will repair anything in District 8. If we can get any kind of clarification that they're gonna repair it. And I brought pictures for you guys to see that it does need work there. And it's getting worse.
She has it written down.
Okay.
Anything else on one?
Yes, on page 3 of that tab, utility infrastructure, construction, mainline water line extensions as needed. It's $200,000. I would like a little bit more of a clarification on that. From what I understand, I thought we've done most of all of our repairs and stuff, and that we're supposed to be looking good. So why are we extending anything? Or are there problems that we don't know of?
I know, because I have it digitally.
Okay, she's up to date.
All right.
Anything else?
Yep, I've got a few, since we're in one, is under fire, there's a strong arm Hearst rescue tool. I have no doubt, since I don't know what it is, that the fire department probably needs it.
Right?
But it's every year.
Oh,
And when you begin to add that up, one tool for every year, I don't know if it is a payment plan or whatever, but just some type of explanation in that regard. And then $180,000 for permanent speed tables. I understand we're looking at the possibility of these, but I don't know how we could possibly budget what we don't know we're even going to do and where they would be. I would much rather see that as a budget amendment when it's more specific and probably more accurate.
Right. We have to see if they're gonna work
Because I don't know if
presently
this
too.
council is in
I got
support
you.
or not in support. We don't have the data.
right.
Good point. Okay, she has that. Anything else in one?
The only other thing I would say is, and I'm very pleased to see street repairs as needed, 50,000. I don't think that's nearly enough. Streets, engineering, and I realize we're talking about engineering, but part of the issue with this budget is, I think at least for me, is that there's a discussion about raises. And there is so much infrastructure in this city that needs to be done, that I want to make sure infrastructure is fully funded as we move towards a discussion of raises,
But we also need someone to work on those streets.
which is why we need a budget.
I just want a clarification real quick, Larry. Under public work, why is, I'm sorry, it says sidewalk repairs as needed 50,000, then sidewalk repairs as needed 200,000. What's the difference in the two?
One's engineering, look these up.
I see that, that's why I'm asking the clarification. What's the difference in the two?
You want to pay?
One's construction and one's engineering. 50,000 is being paid for the engineering.
For the studying of it?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
To create the plan. yeah.
Okay.
Prior to construction.
Anything else on one?
Under the water truck, there is a service body truck, and it begins at 50,000 for the next year and then goes to 35,000. Again, I don't know if this is just routine maintenance. I'd be curious as to why it's 50,000 on the front end and then 35 on the back end. But these again are clarification. I've sent it to the administration. I'm sure there's an answer. I just need to get it. And that's under the water department.
Page three.
Page 3, under water department vehicles.
Joy, was it you asking about the river forest repairs? It looks
Yes.
like there's $650,000.
Yes. No, I know, for this year, but then there's nothing else done for the next 5 years. And same on the other page, I'm just curious if there's other plans.
I think there's a rotation.
Right.
Where like maybe it might go through ozone next year.
Right.
Put $650,000 into sewer repairs and streets. In other words, they're not gonna do $650 every year in River Forest. They're gonna try and address different.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that.
In fact, I would actually like to, if out of curiosity, how much we've spent in river forest the last 3 years of this administration, because I feel like it's a lot of money. And how do we prevent?
It has been. It has been because it's been neglected for like the last 20.
Yeah,
So-
and how do we have things in place to prevent new neighborhoods being built that are gonna cause literally billions over the course of 20 years in repairs?
Okay, we got it written down. Anything on one? Anything else? Can we move to 2? We good with 2? Let's go with 2. Anything on 2?
Well, I think this is kind of throughout. If we look at on page 204 on the tab.
204, yeah.
And if we look under summary of expenditures by characters, it says like, salaries, 2%. And then there's the upcoming year, 7%. And this is we can kind of nip this in the bud throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
If we look in throughout every department, every subject and stuff like that, they have salaries in there, all at different percents. Now, I know there's been talks about the $1,000 raise across the board, and then so much for this much, and so much for that one. I'm not exactly sure of those numbers to be exact, but the thing is, it's like, it doesn't seem right to have different percentages. If it's gonna be across the board, then why is one 2%, one's 13%, one's 9%? And these are different ones throughout the whole thing, so we can kind of cover that all at one time for salaries.
Right, because I think at every section, you're gonna
Yeah,
have the
every
same
section,
question.
and it
So maybe
seems-
what we do is we pose a question, and anybody can chime in on this. Maybe just a clarification on where we getting the percentages and how do the percentages
Yeah.
work? What type of graph is being used? Is there another way to kind of phrase that? Anybody want to chime in
Well,
on
I
that?
lodged a question to administration on September 19th, and this is, and I'll quote it because we can tinker with the language. It's another shot for this council as a whole to ask, is there a pay increase proposed for city employees in the 2023 budget? Question mark. If so, what is the specific proposal? Because you cannot, I think, see that from this proposed budget. For clarification, going on Councilman Botsford's point, there's a percentage change, for example, on the salaries for recreation, it's 8.9%. If you look at fire, it's 7.5%. But if you look at public works, it's 0.3%. So my question is, are those explained by new hires, for
Yes.
example? And I would assume the answer
That's
is
the
yes,
answer.
but that's the problem with us. We need to do our job, and we are doing our job. A lot of this public, they've got to see what we do, and I get it. But at the end of the day, we're voting on a budget that we need to know, it should be spelled out. It should be spelled out. Who's getting a pay raise? Who's requesting a pay raise? What's the percentage of the pay raise? And there's been discussions of that. You know, is the mayor seeking a pay raise? For example, this council voted just a few months ago for elected officials not to have a pay raise. Are we being asked to do that? Those are the type of questions that need to be asked, and back to John's point, I don't think you can see that from the budget when you look at a department, right?
Correct.
And that's the issue.
And
When you look at the upcoming year, it's 7%, on page 204, salaries. That's not, that doesn't have any pay raise in it. That's additional jobs. So additional jobs compared to this current year, they're anticipating what? $48,000 or so. How much is that?
Yeah, about that.
well, what we were doing also on that, Rick, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying throughout the rest of the budget, we're just trying to, you know, kind of speed up the process, is that we're not gonna look through,
Yeah, we're gonna have
keep on
the
bringing
same
this up.
question in every section.
Yes,
And
in
we
every
just need a
section.
determination of how these percentages were arrived, how they arrived at percentages, right? In fact, with everybody.
Right, I think the only
Yeah.
one that can speak to that is the one that did the budgeted proposal.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I mean, that's a fair question. And I think, you got that, I mean, pretty much okay.
The other thing
So
is,
we don't have to address each section with that question. I mean, we're just trying to find out.
And I think that's
how-
John's point.
Right, exactly.
Is that
Yeah, that's what I'm
it-
saying.
It's a continuing
It's a
question
continuing
as
question.
you go through each
Right.
department.
How was it decided? What does it look like? Got it. Okay, she has it written down. Anything else in two?
Yeah, just the intergovernmental line on the summary of revenues. So that 1 of 4, if you look at that, you know, we budgeted for 184,000, revised the budget at 184,000. We've only used 72,000 at the front end of the year, and we're going to estimate the remaining of the year at $270,000 increase. That's a very strange line to look at. So I don't know what the change was between the front of the year and the back end of the year. But then we budgeted 524,000 for next year's budget for that same line that we've only spent 72,000 for this year, the first 6 months. So without getting into great details, if we can just get an explanation on the intergovernmental line, would be great.
Okay.
and then I have one on page 3 of 4, it says contract labor, it's gone up by 271% on that.
I think I had that highlighted also.
I'm assuming that, I mean, we hired an IT department on the outside and
Yeah.
there's various things, but I'd like to know, is that why? Is that why we've gone up 271%?
Good.
I mean, especially if it's needed, I mean, of course, we need to fund it, but
That's page 3 of 4.
that is correct. Page 3 of 4, contract labor.
I did all mine digitally, so I'm sorry that only the page numbers match up, but did we already pass up the, because it's page 9 according to the digital one. I'm not sure where it is in this binder. But I know that y'all all wear them, but do we need $300 of shirts each per year?
You don't have to use it.
You don't have to use it.
No, I know, but $300 a year seems like a lot. Every year.
Yeah.
We need like 10 shirts every year.
Well, I'll bring back to that point, it's if you, for example, if you want a rain jacket one year to go out and stand with Public Works, I
Yeah.
don't want to do a budget amendment to say that.
Because those could
it's
run like
gonna be-
$60 or
right,
something
and it's,
like that.
Okay, well, I'm,
So
you
that
know,
eats it up.
$110 and I got.
And I think most of us really don't use the amount anyway.
No.
I know I don't.
So it goes
I mean,
back in the
I don't
general
think-
fund.
I don't think most of us do anyway.
Did we get to the flu shots being 58,000 yet?
Not
Okay.
yet.
All right, I'm sorry.
And I think that's a question that we all have, actually, but we'll get to it.
Mark's already submitted that,
Yeah,
right? The flu shot, isn't that covered by the health insurance?
right. And that's, it was just gonna be a question, but we didn't get to it yet, but we'll get to it. Okay, anything in 2? Anything else in 2?
Double check.
Well, that was page 3 of 4, so we only have 4 of 4. So I didn't know if anybody had anything else. Are we good on it?
Yeah, Joey, what was the one that?
Intergovernmental. So the intergovernmental law.
That was page 3, right? Was that page 3?
Page 3 in section 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a very strange law, that's all.
Anything else of question? 2? Because everything else just looks pretty routine on this.
I got all my questions in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, some of the council members have already kind of submitted their questions to our clerk, and again, she's going to do a consolidation for administration. Anything else on 2? Can we move to 3? Okay, 3.
Okay, on 3, here we go. Let's see.
This is the council, yes. Okay, anything on 2?
3.
My apologies, 3.
Sorry.
Anything else on, nothing on 3, huh? Let's go to 4.
Actually, Larry, let me
Jim?
recommend, I'm gonna give you this. When you say 4, just for the people that's watching, say what it's for too, because they'll never know. There you go. They'll never know at home what we're talking about.
Sorry about that,
Yep.
y'all. Okay, 1 was the budget message, 5-year capital plan. Number 2 was general fund revenues. 3, thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
by the way. Council expenditures, and then 4 is mayor's expenditures. So we are on 4. Questions? Anything to consolidate?
Now, the only one I really have is on the vehicle allowance on 4, on page 1 for the mayor. It's like, it's been pretty steady at 9,000, and then it says actual for 2022 is 6,000, and then it's gonna jump up back up to 9,000 within a month and a half. That's $3,000 in a month and a half. I'd like to know, is
Okay,
it actually
got that.
6, or, I mean, is 6 is what's needed, or is it, or what?
Actual.
Actually, that'd be for October, November, December.
Yeah.
Which is a quarter of the year.
Yeah, but $3,000 is a lot. Still a couple months there. I just didn't know if it was like something that wasn't needed anymore, or is there a reason why there's a discrepancy?
Maybe you get new tires or something, then, I don't know.
Maybe gas.
Right.
Gas is coming down.
Yeah. I do have a question on gas real quick. How did they average per gallon? Because I know it shows almost throughout the whole budget. Just out of curiosity, how did they average that per gallon? I know it fluctuates high, low, but I'm curious how that was averaged.
Yeah, I guess, with the price of gas, you kind
Yeah.
of thought it might actually be higher.
Yeah. So I'm just curious.
I'm just curious,
Yeah,
that's all.
out of curiosity. Okay. Anything else on 4?
I do, I'm
Okay.
confused about the line underneath it. It's a contract service?
Funded by donations.
Yeah, is it the 300 and then another 300, 600? Is that saying that the entire amount is funded by donations? Or are we still putting in money for that? Because it looked like the actual for 22 came.
Rick,
out to
did
be
you see that
negative
one
amount.
right there?
You talking about the healthy lifestyles?
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
They don't use it, they don't even roll it over, they put it back into the fund.
Looks like they barely used any of it in 2021, so then it just goes back into the general fund.
Right, that's what I was asking.
You good on that still, or you want us to
Well,
ask?
I guess the question I want to know is it really funded by donations, or are we providing the funds of
For the
1160?
Mayor's Council on Healthy
Right.
Lifestyles. I'm sure he's got something right here that's, you know, I mean, something in his expense that he's spending for Mayor's Council. And he's just designating, making sure that everybody knows you get 600 donations.
Doesn't he have a committee that's the council?
Yeah, they do. And that's common in most,
Yeah.
they
That's all
have,
that's saying, is he's just acknowledging the fact that he got $600 in donations, 300 from Oxford and 300 from St. Tammany Parish Hospital.
To kind of offset it?
In addition to that, which was a change for us.
The clerk wrote it down anyway, so we'll get some clarification, but we'll get,
All these are good questions, but they ain't questions for us.
right, exactly. And
That's
this
what
is
we're
just
doing, is we're
to put it
getting
together.
Yeah, we're getting
This
the
is just-
questions for,
Yeah, right. Okay, so anything else on 4? Mr. Vermette? No? Okay. Okay, so let's move on to 5, legal expenditures. Anything on that? I didn't really see anything. I think we good to go to 6, administration expenditures.
Let me just stop real quick. Look at
Which
city
one?
attorney.
Which one are we going to? 6?
City attorney, right,
Yeah.
6,
No,
Page
5?
12.
12.
Okay, just to show you. Actually, it's been spent for what, city attorney, how much? 40, right now.
43,000,
Right, and it's projected to be what,
71?
80?
80.
What's built in there is what you're
My
saying.
point is,
Right.
it's more than likely gonna be at 80. I don't know how it's gonna be spent, that next $37,000, I don't know. But between October and January 1 of '23,
It's going to increase by
it's gonna be
100%.
$37,000.
Right. Why?
So why don't we write that question down?
Well,
Why is
that's
it
what I'm
at
saying.
It's gotta
80?
be
Yeah.
his salary.
Well, I understand that, but if it's his salary and you can document that has $43,000 to this date,
Right.
How is it gonna end up at
I don't
80
know. Do you
in
know if he's
December?
paid monthly? I don't know.
that's what we just need clarification
Yeah.
on. Why is that number so low, but the projection number to end the year is going to be so high?
Right.
Because
It just-
his salary's 80, I'm pretty sure.
Now, was this pulled for year to date, or is this pulled for a 6-month? That's what I need to know.
Good question.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
the actual, the 2022?
The 2022
actual?
actuals, is that a 6-month actual, or is that?
Or was it when it was submitted to us 2 weeks ago?
Right.
I don't know, but
Right.
it's really not that, the bottom line is they're telling you what the projection is. So that's what we gotta assume, that it's gonna hit that,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, we know some things are
We don't
built
need
into
to know,
that.
are they gonna spend it next week? No, we did an annual budget, okay, and we approved $80,000. They hadn't spent it yet, but you gotta assume that they're going to.
Right, it's going, right, because right. Or the funds are there for you to
Right.
spend it.
or maybe Rod hasn't billed for it yet, that's all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
That too.
Right.
You know, lawyers bill you all kinds of crazy.
Like to move the strike, move the strike.
Okay, I think we good on that. She has that written down. Anything else on tab 5, so we can go to 6? We good? Let's go to 6, and that was administration expenditures. As I'm starting on page 14.
For community service, the Children's Advocacy Center, is that the Hope House?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks like postage is going up quite a bit. Not sure why that, but anyway. Yeah. It's going up quite a bit, so. Any other questions on that?
There's one thing I see like
Yeah,
continuous all throughout the budget and different, all the different things again, it's, you know, this Office 365 license. If I'm not mistaken, I thought that was a one and done. And after the hack, I thought we all got brand new computers and they got Office 365 for all the computers. Even if the computer goes bad, if it's still the same user, that license transfers over, if I'm not mistaken.
I think,
Is that
from what
right,
I
Craig?
understood, we were just in such a hole technology-wise that I think they're still digging us out. Like, I think we were so far behind that that's why there's such an increase. But I have it on my notes to ask for clarification.
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
that's-
assuming that that's what it is, but I would like,
Yeah, 'cause it
once
is
you get
quite a
license,
bit.
It's usually just keeps on, you know, it's
Yeah.
one and done.
And it's quite a bit. So she had, Joanne has it written down. That's a good point, because each tab pretty much has it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on 6, administration?
Well, I guess I don't see it because it's really not there, I guess, but now's a good time to bring it up, I guess, under administration. We've been told that there's, and I'll use the term liaison because that's the term that's been used to us, has been hired by the city, and they work with the mayor's office to attend public meetings and report back on those meetings. I just think it's important for the council, if we have budgeted, how much have we budgeted, how much do we budget for that? And I would request, and I guess I can make a motion for it, but I would rather do it in a budget workshop, that the liaison reports back to the council on actually what meetings are attended, what's going on. If that had taken place, for example, on the roundabout,
Yep.
we wouldn't have, there would have been 2 meetings that we wouldn't have had to address that. DOTD probably wouldn't have had to come. But the council doesn't get, so the public understands, a report on a budgetary liaison. Department heads report to us, right, when we have a question. I think the liaison should meet, and that can be a committee thing. It doesn't always have to be a city council meeting. I don't necessarily mean that. But I think if, for example, if she's meeting on a public safety issue, then that should probably go to the Public Safety Committee, what was discussed, and to find out what the administration's position is on it, so that we know what's going on, so when people come to us. If it's recreation, then it should go to the Recreation Department. Housing should go to the Housing Department. That's just something I think clearly we should be doing more oversight, but it's hard to do oversight if you don't know what you're supposed to be oversighting.
And she did write that down. Okay.
I guess I just want to mention this, I think we see it throughout it says IDA expenditures for reimbursement. I just want to know if we received all those yet, or are we still waiting for some of them?
I don't
I think
think
they
so.
said it at every council meeting, they give us an update, and yeah, I think we're still waiting on a good
Yeah.
bit of that.
But we've gotten a lot too, but we are waiting.
And apparently we're
Yeah.
ahead of schedule versus
Yes.
some
And,
municipalities.
and Aaron has done an excellent job on keeping tabs on this. Because this was a big undertaking. There's no doubt about it. So she should be commended on that. Okay, so anything on 6?
Yes, I only have one other thing.
Uh-huh.
On the cemetery, it's on page 15, according to the top of this.
Yeah,
There's nothing there for Wilson Cemetery about the fence that they had proposed. They were going to remove some trees. It says tree removal. I'm assuming that's what they're talking, as needed. But then there was also a fence that was supposed to go in that we budgeted previously, and it hasn't been carried over to this budget. I was just kind of
So
wondering.
that's a good question. I had it highlighted also, and I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done, some TLC for
Yes.
sure, so.
yeah, but to add
I
to
mean-
this, we also increased it for the fence too, right?
Yes.
So we need to.
She just wrote it down. Okay. Our clerk is doing an excellent job. Okay. Anything else?
Can you also add sidewalk to that too?
She's doing everybody's work.
She's really keeping up, I'm impressed.
I'm happy for you, questions, so you don't have.
All right, we're trying to make progress here, so, anything else on 6? We're gonna go right into 7, engineering. Page 16. Anything?
Yes, on 16, I'm not kind of unclear about this, and I'm kind of curious about it. is this nuclear density gauge DEQ license.
Don't ask.
Leave it alone.
It went up 245%, or it's supposed to go up they're projecting it to go up. Exactly what is it, and what is it used for,
Yeah.
and why do we need it?
Good question. Okay. She's writing it as we speak.
Oh, it's on the next page too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on page 17. Anything else? Anything else on 7? You good? Okay, so let's move to 8, plan and zoning.
Yeah, it said contractor to service $50,000 planning consultant. I'd like to know if where we at with hiring somebody permanently. I think we had a conversation about hiring somebody.
Yeah, so apparently Slidell just hired someone for significantly more than what we have been offering. So again, it's just like all the other positions, we just don't pay enough. So, but I think that it's definitely, they're still trying,
Yeah,
for sure.
advertise right now, we haven't put anyone in place.
Yeah, so in the meantime, we have to do contract work, but I do know that, I think ours were offering 80,000, and Slidell just hired for 100,000.
Yeah.
I'm
That's true.
curious if like within LSU and
Yeah.
the different areas that we've ever reached out to them, to the university, to see if we have some.
I think it's like a nationwide search, but the other thing with the Slidell offering so much is it's also, Slidell has much bigger footprint than we are too. So I think that needs to be taken into
Their budget's
consideration.
probably.
Maybe people don't realize how tiny Covington truly is.
Right. She does have it written down. Okay. Anything else with planning and zoning? Okay, if we can move on to 9, code enforcement and building permits, page 20. Any questions on that? I mean,
Well, just to show, for example,
What's that?
John's point, not to go over what we've gone over, the code enforcement, for example, on salaries, 13.3% change increase. That's one of the things, Rick, that I was talking about. When you go department to department, I think we need an explanation. But I also wanted to take an opportunity to say that we helped our building permits out with somebody. I'd like to help the code enforcement out, because obviously, we've had some issues. The mayor has recognized that, to his credit, and, but at the end of the day, we've got code enforcement issues all over the city, and if it takes 2 or if it takes 4, let's get someone else, let's go ahead and put that money in the budget, because that really, besides infrastructure, at least for my district, streets, the second one is code enforcement. Oh, why is this person getting away with this for 18 months? Well, how come this, and how come, and it's because it just hadn't gotten done. So I'd like to see, and that's one of the questions that I've posed to the council, I suppose, and to the mayor, that we need to put some more in the budget for code enforcement if necessary. And along those lines, I guess it's an opportunity now to say, I think the city needs a grant writer. I think that there are grants out there, and I get the mayor's position, and I understand it, and I understand the CAO's position that it's not worth pursuing all these grants. Well, it's not worth pursuing if you're a department head wasting your time, so to speak, on a $15,000 grant, or a $30,000 grant, or whatever's out there. Perfect example, I was reading the other day that these electric vehicles, there's grants all over the place to get these things, right? Ain't none in Covington. It's because who is going to do it, right? And I don't understand why we can't get a grant writer. I think it would, if it translates into $1 more for the taxpayers of this city, it's worth it, in my opinion. So I think we'll take a look at putting that in the budget.
Can I read that? One of my questions I have submitted.
You may. And so the public recognizes and understands when you go and you look at the fire department, which I'm sure there's an explanation, but we're hiring an outside grant writer to help with writing a grant.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it in-house?
Yeah.
There are grants out there, and I know we shoot for the good ones, and the city has done a good job in shooting and collecting and bagging some of these
We
big
used to have a
ones,
grant writer.
Right.
yeah.
I think I think everybody pretty much has the same opinion on that. And this year at the LMA convention, there were a bunch of tables haven't offering grants. I mean, just pretty simple. So again, a person doing it this is their job, we
That's
could
their
probably
job
get some things, really
versus
done, so.
taking away from a full-time department head or someone in that department to try to go after a grant. And somebody should have the expertise to go after that grant. And it's a very good point that Councilman Rowland makes. At the LMA, not only were there numerous booths and exhibitors and discussions from the state, the federal levels, there was also, no exaggeration, just about every speaker mentioned a grant of some capacity, whether it be go to the lieutenant governor's office and ask for recreation, those type of things. You need somebody to do that full-time, in my opinion.
And it's written down. Okay. Anything else on 9, code enforcement?
Yeah, I'm guessing it just means that they needed a new computer with that going up 1,100%. On page 23. I mean, it says it's pretty black and white. Additional department computer, so I'm guessing that's why.
Well, I believe Wayne Mayberry had a pocket notebook, so
Gotcha.
you know.
Yes, I think we should get him a computer.
Okay, so let's move on to 10 unless somebody has something else, but 10 is Trailhead, FEC, Bogafalaya Park, Greater Covington Center expenditures. So again, that's tab 10, page 24. Anything on that?
I just want to know, yeah, two things. My first thing is, I see we're looking for 3 part-time greeters. I want to know what the plan is for that. And
Repeat that, if you don't mind.
it says 3 part-time greeters.
Okay. What page is that on again? 24. Okay, you're on 24, okay, gotcha. I went through the other pages. I see it.
And to add to that, I guess I'm curious to know what happened to
Yeah.
the funds we approved for the upgrades for the museum. Last budget.
Just where we stand on that. Okay.
I was just making sure, I know that the bathrooms at Bogafly Park aren't currently complete, but it's not on the budget for next year, so are they anticipating that being done by the end of the year, I guess?
And did they utilize all the
Just an update
funds?
on that.
Yeah, because I know that the construction materials
Yeah.
were,
And I know Amy Tucker's been doing a great job, working very hard,
yeah.
getting all that done, so. But yeah, an update would be great. Okay, so.
I got a question though, Larry.
Yeah,
There's a,
Yeah,
and this goes throughout the whole book again, all the different departments.
Mhm.
The workers' comp insurance, like for the trailhead and all this other stuff, it's gone down. It's projected to go down by 24%. But and then all the rest of them, like further on down the line, of course, like a place it's going to go up by 22%. Why is the drastic change? Why is it going
We can-
down?
we can.
And then going
check
up in
on that.
different things, and it's up and down in different by department.
It's gotta be number of employees.
Employees, that's what I was
Employees?
thinking.
Okay, so
That's what I was thinking, but I mean, we can get clarification, but I'm
Yeah, I
not
mean, that's
saying it's
fine. I mean,
100% that, but it's probably exactly what.
Yeah, Rick, you deal with
Councilman Smith is
insurance
saying.
and stuff, so you probably know. But
Right. Okay, anything else on 10?
I guess I just want to know what are we painting and repairing under the trailhead.
Which page are you on?
The
Page
stage,
25.
the stage does need painting, I guess that's what it's for.
It
The
say
painting, building and stage?
building repair as needed.
There's like, I guess there's like thousands of people that go to those concerts, I think it takes a beating, that's my guess.
Yeah. I mean, we can get a clarification on the building repairs if needed, 20,000, just to see what they anticipate. Is that what you want to know? Okay. You good? Okay, she's caught up. So anything else on 10? We're a quarter done, a little bit over. So far, so good. Okay, we're gonna go right to 11, police. That's on 33, page
I have
33.
a question that I've lodged to administration. I recognize the fact that we have to budget for these additional school resource officers, but I have a question on the accounting as to when we get reimbursed. does it go back into the general fund, or is that gonna go into, or is it gonna carry over? How are we going to deal with the reimbursement? So it appears from the budget that they've increased the budget for the resource officers, but, that's not an actual, at the end of the day, we should get the money back.
And Larry, sorry, but I missed a question on the
Yeah.
10. On page 30, it says vehicle insurance. It went up 136.4% just for that one vehicle. And underneath the, yes. No, I said on page 30. I said I missed the question.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So,
I was just,
on page 30 it goes down, and it's just this one vehicle, for some reason, the insurance has gone up 136.4%.
I'm almost wondering if,
Is it an
if
added
that's
vehicle?
maybe a vehicle that wasn't,
Well,
because I mean, it's 19, I mean, it's,
5 new vehicles too, so that could be.
Yeah.
But it's underneath the one for the Greater Covington Center, so I was just kind of wondering why just that one vehicle.
Oh, I don't know.
okay, she has it. Okay, so we're going back to police, that's 11. Anything on that?
Yeah, I do, I guess. If I'm reading this correctly, it shows the amount of overtime that we use seems to be high. I guess my question to the administration is, would it be smarter to hire more police officers than spend that amount of money in overtime?
Okay. You got it?
I was wondering if we needed to budget more for the crime. Well, I guess my question is, how durable are those crime cameras? Like, if they need to be replaced? I'm just curious if people find out about where they are and then destroy them, do we need to be budgeting more for replacement? Because it's not very much. Because I know that they're in place, but I'm worried that that's not enough to cover if they need to be replaced and not just repaired. But they might be really well protected, I have no idea. They're very clear, so they must be very nice. I do hope so.
Okay. Anything else on 11? Okay. Should be more money budgeted. Okay, can we move on to 12? Fire expenditures?
I had a concern that, and it's probably easily explainable again, but we have an increase, and I'm not talking about on machinery or equipment, but salaries have gone up 7.5%.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was a lot of openings in fire, so I would just need to know an explanation as to why.
Why the
That's- I mean,
7.5?
that's a pretty hefty amount, 7.5%, when you're talking that kind of budget, nearly $1.2 million just on salaries.
Right.
I think that needs an explanation.
Yeah, fire had the same thing with overtime there too.
It looks like that would probably account for one person being hired.
Well,
Look at it. It goes from 1,068,000 to 1,148,000. So what's that?
1,148,000.
That's about, yeah,
That's about $80,000 difference. I mean, you telling me that they hired one person for $80,000 in the fire department? Because if they did, I think we might have talked about that.
Or maybe 2.
Maybe two, right?
could be two.
Yeah,
Right,
maybe
I don't
2.
know.
Yeah, that's a good question
I
though.
don't know.
And notice also underneath there, on page 38 at the bottom, there is $1,000 in grant writing
Right.
as needed. So that goes to show you that, that other thought
We
might
would-
work out better.
I would say that the words "as needed" are apropos.
Got it.
I guess your question could be, how many full-time people did we hire, or do we anticipate hiring? Two?
Right.
So that would probably justify two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not needed. I'm just saying it's a question as far as a budgetary question that's our responsibility in which to ask.
And our clerk is up to date. Anything else on 12?
On page 38, the vehicle allowance, that's 7,200. Doesn't, is that for, that's like a reimbursement, right? So, I mean, I didn't know that there was any personal vehicles or used in the fire department that I'm aware of.
You on 38?
Yes.
38, yeah.
Gas? No.
Now it says vehicle allowance,
Say vehicle alone.
Boss said,
and I thought those were all city vehicles that they use.
let's get a clarification on that.
Fire chief?
Yeah,
Now he drives around
he gets a vehicle along.
No,
but I think he
I
drives
think
a
he got
city
a city
vehicle.
vehicle.
I think he has a city vehicle.
Okay, we
I'm
getting
just looking for
clarification.
I don't know, I just don't really know what it's for.
$7,200. Okay, we are definitely getting clarification on that. Anything else on fire? We can move on to streets, page 42.
There is a $100,000, as you know, for sidewalks, and there's some other engineering amounts. I would just make a suggestion that around Pitcher, I've had some complaints, continuing complaints, that these school children have to walk either in the street or through the St. Peter's car line. I've been out there a few times. I think we could probably do something as a public safety issue to more clearly delineate where these students have to go, because you're talking about a younger crowd to begin with, right? And then Jefferson Avenue is not exactly slow at that time. So I would request that administration look from a public safety standpoint at using some of that money over there. And engineering, I would assume, would play a large role with that.
Okay. What else
I
on
see,
13?
I see Dutch Alley again is listed for engineering.
Which page?
45. It's listed again for 25,000 for engineering. And I think
What's that?
it was in last year's budget for, I guess completion, I would say. I would like clarification on when they're actually gonna start the work.
Page 45, yeah. Okay, we got it. Anything
I would-
else?
I would
Just a big-
also, if Bonnie, I'm sorry, not Bonnie, Joanne, if Joanne would provide the administration, if Joanne would provide the administration with the pictures of the drainage and street problems and along the other streets.
Okay, anything else on 13?
I was just gonna ask if, since the sidewalk thing does go up 756%, if we are privy or if they even know, where those sidewalks repairs are gonna go, or if it's just as
Yeah,
needed.
anticipated, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
The only thing I
There's a
was, no, I think that's good.
okay. All right, anything else on 13? We're good? Okay, 14, cultural arts and events. We're almost halfway. 46, page 46.
I'll just do a shout out to them, because I think
Wait, mine
by
said
looking at how
recreation.
much we spend, it
And the
justifies the
results, yeah.
conversation that
What
we
do you say?
always have something going on.
And it's
You know,
Covington.
and one thing I did say, and I'm sure I'll catch a little flack, but the Sparks in the Park, everybody loves Sparks in the Park, I think it's a great deal. But some of the height of our
Mine say
trees,
recreation.
I had a lot of people that aren't in the park itself who go to the surrounding areas, basically because of the traffic coming in and out. And had a lot of complaints about some of those fireworks need to be a little higher. I get the fact of the amount of money it may be, but if it's
Oh,
15,000
all right,
already.
never mind.
But that is something that I hear
Right.
every year.
I did find that it went lower for some reason. I
I
don't know
thought they were
why.
lower this year,
Yeah,
so,
I agree, what?
Okay. Yeah, but they do an excellent job. you know,
absolutely.
to show off the city, no doubt about it. Okay, anything else for, section 14? Okay, we're gonna move to 15, recreation.
I just had a general question, if we're gonna keep the person in place, are we gonna make him permanent or not?
Right, the full, right, so yeah, what the plans are basically, is what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay.
Sorry, I missed,
Which tab?
sorry, I missed on page 47, back on 14. I was just curious what the, it says CONSRV, it goes up 152%. And I just didn't know what that abbreviation was. Like community service?
I'm thinking,
I think her page is different from ours.
No.
No, I'm looking at the binder now.
What
page 47.
Yeah,
Page 47.
the community service, it's broken down underneath to St. Tammany Auto Association, North Shore Traditional.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is all the community services that we do.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay. On back to 15, recreation.
Okay, sorry. So I have a question about recreation, that,
Yeah.
is am I reading it right, that the advertising budget is only $300? Because I would like to get more, or propose more.
Wait, I thought we was in cultural arts and events.
No, I think we're on
Yeah,
recreation.
we went through it. Did you want to go back? Did you want to go back to 14? That was page 46.
I just have, I'm gonna just give a general question. My only question is, I wanna know an explanation for the increases in those, in 440520. That's on page 46, under, you say advanced promo?
Advertising promotion?
Yeah. $46?
46?
Yeah.
47, right? Okay, I see. Now, what is your question?
I just wanna know what was the reason for the increases.
Page 55.
I think it's just because everything went up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not much.
Yeah, it's not much.
And I think it's just the price of, things
Advertising.
that you need to get to
And then-
these,
Contract services, why they go up?
No,
No,
promotions.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Hey, contract services going up by 18.9%.
He's saying for advertising and promotions. It's 440520. That's advertising promotion.
Doing business.
no, and then we have one category said miscellaneous for 5,000.
That's probably just covers everything that's not listed there.
I think they run into some things unexpectedly, is what happens. I mean, they try to budget as best as possible, but,
And whatever they don't spend, it goes back to the general fund 2024.
yeah.
Like the $500 for the Easter, Halloween, and Christmas for promotions, I know from working in cultural arts events, we made a lot of copies and sent them to all the local schools. And so $500 obviously is not that much money, so I'm guessing that cost is the copying, because we would have stacks of papers, ink, toner.
Cost of doing business, you get
Yeah.
more expensive every year.
Every day.
And so I'm guessing, so they listed out for some, and the miscellaneous most likely covers all the other events that they don't necessarily have listed out, because that's just for advertising.
Okay, so we're still on recreation 15 again, page 49, anybody else?
I had recreation, but not on page 49, but on page 57, it's a general discussion of the mandatory boat launch. You've heard me say it before. I see it as a proposal for 2024, which I'm thankful for, but I can say, and I have to say on behalf of my residents, that the mandatory boat launch is in bad shape. It's deplorable, and somebody's going to get hurt out there, and there's going to be some litigation. There's not a doubt in my mind. It's on the horizon. We're looking at it, but what I'd like to say is for this budget, I don't see any money in engineering. Whatever needs to get done so that we can get it done in 2023 needs to get done. And if there needs to be a budget for it, I realize it's a major expenditure, but it's a major asset to this city, and we need to take care of it. Otherwise, don't have it. But if you're gonna have it, you need to take care of it, and I think we need to do it.
Is that not 150,000?
Well, if you look at it, depending on what year you're in,
Yeah, it changes.
it changes. And if you look at for example, engineering 2021 actual, 0, right? 2022 budget, 0. 2022, 150. 2022 actual is 145. So it puts you in a position for 2023 for launch improvements, engineering, capital outlays, anything to do with miniature boat launch
Zero.
is 0.
Yeah.
And that's my concern. My concern is that we are looking to get it done in 2024. I need to make sure that if this budget needs something in 2023, we don't fall in the trap of saying, well, yeah, it's going to get done in 2026 because we didn't do it in 2023, right? We know how public works and projects.
What page you on, so the clerk?
57.
57.
Properly.
I mean, the way I read
Thank
it,
you.
and I guess that's a clarification question, but there is not one penny for miniature boat launch improvements, engineering, or capital outlays in 2023. And I get that it is proposed for 2024, so I don't want anybody to misinterpret my question. But 0 on a major proposals is a little concerning to me.
Right.
Okay. She has it written down.
My
I
question is
have
on,
one question too, after John.
on page 54, for the pool. It seemed like it was pretty steady, 20, 38, somewhere up that area, and then it's jumping up to 61. Is that because of,
They have to put it in a chair, a handicap chair.
$18,000 chair there.
is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's required by law.
Yeah,
For
it's
ADA.
required.
They don't have one in it?
I think they tried to repair it, and it was
Because I
not
said, they had
repaired.
one in it, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they could repair it.
No, they
And
could
then the
not.
other thing I don't see in this for Parks and Recreation is anything for the ozone. It's not in here.
I would also like to put on the record that I saw there was Nose Park, Peter Atkins, Boga Fly over the course of the last few years. And if, maybe in the near future, we could, I think Hubie Gallagher is due for some upgrades to their playground. If
That
it
brings
permits.
back the question that, we had proposed at one time to the Recreation Committee that we have an audit done of all of our parks to see exactly what we need. As Cody just stated, there's, there's some like equipment that's been there since I was a kid.
Within reason that I don't want to spend like $100,000 on a
Exactly.
audit.
No, exactly, within reason.
I'd rather use that to the actual
Right.
Maybe
playground.
we
But
need
there's
to,
gotta be a master plan for
yeah,
everybody.
there needs to be a master plan for everybody
Well,
as far as
I
that
can
goes.
tell you, he's gonna want a proposal. I actually just had one. So, he's gonna tell you to get a proposal and submit it.
Well, we need the budget, whatever we're gonna
Well,
do.
that's what I'm
That's kind of
saying,
the
'cause-
problem with this thing.
So Joanne, yeah, Joanne, I got it right. If you add to my questions that the plans for Peter Atkins is not in there, nor is the funds that we budgeted last year, and you can add this proposal that he asked Aaron to provide.
Thank you.
Okay, she has it. So we're still on 15. Any other questions?
No, but on the proposal though, I'd also like that the Parks and the Recreation to look at that proposal that you had too.
He sent it to Aaron. You should have the copy. Or you can ask Aaron to give it out.
Okay.
I believe she sent it to you also.
Aaron sent it to you?
And Joanne
She
did
sent
get
it to
the
Aaron.
Oh.
advertising increase, the proposed advertising increase.
Yeah, for
Yeah, I would
recreation.
definitely recommend, I would make it $300 per sport almost. I mean, it's.
For season.
For season, right,
Yeah.
something, yeah, something.
Minimal.
That might be an issue, but we don't.
Although I do like the banner coming into town and the signs and the
Absolutely.
That is good. So there must be coming money from somewhere, because the banner alone is like $300. So maybe they're pulling it. But either way, we may as well officially allocate money towards it.
Yeah, just so it's there, absolutely.
Okay, anything else? 15? No? We can move to 16, the general fund balance. Mr. Smith, you have anything on this? Okay, moving on to 17, we halfway. 1957 sales tax fund. Again, we have to thank our forefathers for this. thank God for that.
On the general fund balance, that's a pretty, solid sheet right there, guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Going back to
overhead
16.
recommendation, we far exceeded.
Yeah.
And that's a safety net that the city's got. I just want to point that out.
Oh, yeah, thank you for doing that. Agreed. Okay, 17 again, 1957 sales tax fund, I think, you know. Any questions on that?
And I think it's worth noting that our sales tax increases exponentially every year, and I think that's due to literally the rest of this budget as far as cultural arts, it's bringing people in, public works, keeping the streets clean, sidewalks, just all of our commerce within the city.
And people desiring to live here.
Not just live, but visit it too,
Yeah,
come spend
visit,
money. I
right.
mean, it goes
That's
up.
exactly right.
Small business owners.
Yeah, they want to open shop, no doubt about it, and we appreciate them. Okay, 19. Oh, I'm sorry, 18, 1982 sales tax fund. Again, these are just numbers that, you know, we're getting from all the good sources to put them together. Yeah,
4% increase.
yeah, so those numbers look good. Looking at 19, the GMA sales tax, that's the gross management area.
That's just 4%.
Yep, those all look good. And again, it's just getting the numbers and putting them in the right spot. Any questions on that? If we go to 20, we got the grant fund.
On 19,
Yes, go ahead. Back up.
underneath, page 71, once again, they have the streets.
Yeah.
One thing I think it's in some bad shape is over the ozone, Martin Luther King. There's some serious potholes and stuff in there, and I think it definitely needs to be addressed.
I had that discussion with the mayor last week or the week before. And again, same as Yankee Avenue and Rutland, spilling your coffee and all that. He said, we're gonna go out there, they got sewer line problems.
Yes.
Also, and ozone. We
Yeah.
said, we're gonna go out there, Ted. And
It's
we're
kinda-
gonna concentrate on that this year.
Good, okay.
On sewer repair and then street overlays.
Okay.
But it was noted, and I felt the same way.
Yeah.
So these people, that location in the city is,
Yeah.
you know, kind of been ignored. when it
For a long
comes
time,
to-
especially with the sewer repairs and stuff, so.
Can you repeat that, for Council Clerk,
On
please?
page 71, I was just, and Rick said it's in there, but I was just wanting to make sure that the ozone is not forgotten.
Which section is that again?
It was 19,
19?
page 71.
It's right before.
Oh, here it is.
Fund
It's-
balance in the area sales tax.
What's the back of there?
A couple of them they were not numbered, so it wasn't sure. Okay, here we go. Got it.
And also, while we're on 71, I had a question about the New Hampshire Columbia Street traffic study for $10,000. Just, you know, what specifically?
I could tell you what that is.
Okay.
So I've asked for that study, and since I work on those streets, and I've noticed that they're very narrow, we have parking, and parking is precious to us. So I want to ask to do a traffic study to either making Columbia Street a one-way, and then New Hampshire a one-way the opposite way. This way, it's a safety thing for pedestrians as well, because when you're coming head-on with a car like your size,
Yeah, I can't fit.
and another car like
Everyone
your
is
size,
slower, and
and
then,
then you have pedestrians that are, coming across the road and stuff like that. If everything's going in one direction, it's going to be a safer option. So I asked, I'm not a street expert, so I asked for us to have a study done to see, does this work? Or maybe they might say, well, okay, Gibson needs to be a one-way this way also, and AR needs to be a one-way that way. Just whatever, I thought, it was for a public safety standard, I thought that was a good idea to possibly look at that.
I agree, I just wanted
Yeah.
to know.
I'll bring that up in Mike's administration, and I got that in place. And with that, they consider annual parking on one side of the road.
Right.
And just on a one-way street, instead of having parallel parking, you're making that road wide up, and what that would allow us to do in the future is to expand the width of the sidewalks.
Right.
Which, when you think about Columbia, North Columbia Street in New Hampshire, that's kind of the entertainment district.
Right.
How nice would that be to be able to redo the sidewalks and make them another 3 or 4 feet wide, okay? And make them really dress up and very walk, and you could do that if you had one-way streets.
Right.
Because our parking, you would have just as much parking, if not more, with the
Correct.
angular parking.
Yeah,
I
that-
like the idea a lot.
That's why I wanted the study to see if it's even doable, you know? And so there's that, and then I've talked to the businesses in the area, and they're 100% for it, so.
Okay, that's
And let me
good.
just add that I talked to administration about it, and one thing we have to be careful of is not to gear a traffic study as to one way, because as we know, downtown has a lot of different options. You have New Hampshire with its activity, and you have that aspect that is going to be making some changes, and you've got Columbia. So that we need to look at all these streets at the same time to see what works best, and to Rick's point, to get some more parking out of this too.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's a big deal. If you've got an angular, you're gonna be able, I would think, back to John's point, I'm not a, one of the traffic engineer, but at the end of the day, I would think you could increase parking and be safer with taking a look at it, so, yeah.
John, can you repeat the question you had before?
Page 71.
On
The
page
first question,
71,
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that the ozone with Martin Luther King was considered for, if there are available funds, to put that in there for, to fix the sewer point repairs and overlay the street.
Okay. So, anything else on 19? We're going to move to 20, grant fund.
Asked and answered. Grants?
Yeah, grant fund.
Asked and answered, same question.
Where's the?
I know, right?
Everybody got clarification as to why the numbers, the open segment went from 38 to 30 because of that.
Which, let me say, I think this is a better budget in regards to the grant money that is not there, counting it before you get it. So I think the administration was correct in changing the budget to this extent.
Yeah,
So,
you shouldn't budget for grants because there's no, you just don't know.
I like that approach.
Yes.
Okay, anything else on 20? Moving to 21? Anything on that? Okay, we're on 22, the tree mitigation.
I have a question. I'm positive I don't understand the tree mitigation fund, because do you mean to tell me if I think what it is, that in the entire year, we have no fines or forfeitures in regards to tree mitigation? And if you continue to look, code enforcement, 0. I'm positive I do not understand tree mitigation fund, so I would need an explanation as to what it is and if people are supposed to be putting money in it.
Get that caught.
That's
It
concerning.
goes back
We
to
need a code
enforcement.
enforcement.
It goes back to code enforcement.
I mean, right, goes back to my point about the code enforcement, and it goes back to my point also about
I mean,
that we need to be doing it.
Obviously, the fund balance hadn't changed a lick.
And that's concerning. I think it was 4 months ago, give or take, that we had a very big discussion, under discussion, about what happened on South America. I would think that if there was ever gonna be a tree mitigation There'd be a deposit in there somewhere.
That's right.
We've got pictures of live oaks, we've got pictures of a clear-cut property, and to my knowledge, I don't know where we stand on that. That's not a council decision, it's an administration
Yeah,
decision,
quite a few, there's quite a few Class A trees that were just wiped out.
which we have evidence of. So, you know.
Why isn't there?
And look, you know, part of my comments are, if there had a number in here, we could fight over that number perhaps. I don't think anybody is going to think that zero
Right.
is a significant number. In fact, I'm not even sure zero is a number, right? I mean, I guess it is. But no, I think we need to determine, or I'd like clarification on what is the tree mitigation fund, why is it in existence, and how could it possibly be possible that we have
And
zero?
a lot of times it's mitigated not by money.
I get it, that's why I say I'm positive I don't understand.
It's trees replacing trees.
Yeah.
Right,
So there is no.
right.
Uh-huh.
But what is that 8,000?
It looks like a carryover.
That had to be fines from the past, I would imagine.
I think it's carryover.
Or people that don't want to mitigate with the trees in lieu of replacing it with 4 trees or whatever, they say, yeah, I'll give you a monetary compensation. And I don't know how they determine if it's 1,000 or whatever it's gonna be,
But for it to still be zero.
right, but obviously nobody made the monetary contribution this year. So they may have planted trees elsewhere, or code enforcement or building permits or something never caught on to something.
Yeah, I know we had
Okay.
a thing with that with the mayor's court, in the Savannahs, a lady wanted to take down trees, so she filed for the permit because it was destroying her driveway, and they said, well, you gotta plant X amount of trees, she didn't have the space to mount X amount of trees, so there was actually a financial, turnover, or they said, well, you can actually do this in lieu of it, so then she somehow worked out an agreement with the mayor's court to plant in a green space X amount of trees, I'm assuming that's what it is. So, in lieu
Well,
of
the
the
good
fine.
news is our interest will go
Yeah,
up
we made
63%,
55 cents.
which will be a 63% increase.
Okay, she has it written down. So, anything else on that? We can move on to 23, water capacity charge fund. Any questions on that?
No, I would just say the city does an excellent job on the sewer and water. It's like our guys are top notch. It seems like we always get high marks, and they kind of stay on top of things. And I mean, I think they do a fabulous job.
Agreed. Okay, moving on to 24, wastewater capacity charge fund. Any questions on that?
You know, interesting with the wastewater, we spend a lot of money repairing those sewer lines. And I asked the mayor in that meeting, I'd like to see some real numbers as to rainy day performance, okay? How are we looking with capacity at the sewer treatment plant? Because we spent a lot of money repairing sewer lines, and we've been doing
See
it
where we
for a
are,
couple or 3 years now.
progress-wise. Yep.
And you would expect to see a positive return, and see some numbers that say, hey, our sewer capacity is, you know, we're more than capable of handling what we have, and we have this much room for, growth, you know?
Right, 'cause he used to always talk about the
Or
numbers.
it's getting better, but we still need to consider additional, sewer treatment plant.
Well, I
additions.
talked to him today, actually, and he said probably another 3 to 5 years, we need to look to buy, to
To do it again.
to doing another
And you
one.
know, that may be that piece of property we talked about, maybe, you know, the 200,000.
No, we already own it.
But no, I'm thinking if it's in that area, you had mentioned it's in that location, right?
No, we already own the property, but we would put the
Well, we
road.
put the addition
Right.
of septic
Yeah.
tanks, not septic tanks, treatment tanks.
How do you want her to phrase?
No,
Yeah,
I'll write my own question.
okay, I gotcha, okay, I gotcha.
You should.
Just wanna make sure.
Joanne, I'll put together my own questions, thank you.
She was just trying here. Okay, so anything else on that? We can move on to 25, GOB fund. That's a general obligation bond fund, by the way, what that GOB means. Okay, moving on to 26, the 1990 sales tax bond sinking fund. Pretty low numbers on that. Okay, 27, water public works budget. Any questions on that? There's a lot of different things on that.
27?
Yes, and that's page, well, it's 103.
I
Should
just,
be utility.
yeah, I see it as utility.
Utility
I
fund.
apologize.
Yeah, she got that wrong. Yeah.
Okay, so the index is, all right.
No, it should be.
So 27, where is utilities on this? Hmm,
That's right.
This is not, right?
Mine's not necessarily a comment, but, I mean, a question, but it's more a comment. But if we're talking about the utility fund, I think the mayor has done a sufficient good job of explaining
Okay.
to the public that we fully funded the police department. But I think one thing that I want to go on record as saying now is I am not in favor of any more increases to the water and sewerage in this city. We did a substantial increase, largely because it had not been done for so long, and it was needed to be done. And I get the budget message says that we still don't pay for all of the water and sewer. Well, we don't pay for fire either. There is a huge sales tax revenue in this city, and I do not believe that we need to put more burden on the taxpayers for water and sewer, especially when we're in a good place financially, and we're talking about what we can do. That's just my own opinion and view, but I want to say it in a budget workshop and a public meeting. There is a CPI increase, and I think that is going to rectify, to a large degree, of us keeping up with the time, you know? And I think that was good. I think that, kudos to this council and the administration for handling it, but I think it's handled.
Right.
And thanks, Rick Smith for catching it, that it wasn't handled.
But that'll help close the gap.
It will.
And it won't do it immediately, but it's a fair way of doing it.
It's a
Okay?
fair way of doing it. It's a good way to put it.
Right. Just for correction, tab 27, does state, index water public works budget is utility fund. We'll get that corrected. Okay, so 28, water administration.
Oh, sorry, I had done in 27.
Ah,
Sorry, I
sorry.
didn't move on from that.
Sorry.
On page 101,
Right.
right there, they have cell communications. It's gone up 296%.
On what page?
On page 101,
It's past the pages that.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty good.
Okay. So what was the question?
up for the cell communications, it's gone up 296%. I'd like to know why, because I think we used all these hotspots and we did all these other things, and just kind of wondered why, what's the reason for the increase?
Looks like they budget it every year, and then the actual is always 300. So it's just the same.
Anticipation of something.
That budget, 1,200, and then it's actually 200.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there must be some type of anticipation, possibly. Well, we can get clarification on that. You got that? You got, okay, she has that. Anything else on,
Are we on 28?
20, yes, sir.
28 under page 103.
Oh, no, we want, yeah, we
Way
want
back.
28, right?
28.
Yeah.
We have contract services for water administration. It looks like to me that every year we appropriate $30,000 a year for contract services. It's increased to allow for bill printing fees and inserts for new development. This is a question that I need clarification. I don't understand what the bill printing fees and inserts for new development are. And I will also point out, the reason I say 30,000 is budgeted, in 2022, we budgeted 30,000, but we actually spent 17,539. So what did we do? We budgeted again 30,000 and we spent 14,476. This may be some good accounting, but if we're going to increase it to 50,000, how much are we actually expected to spend? That's some pretty good gaps within there. 66.7% increase. Probably an explanation. A lot of these questions that the public understands is the council just needs clarification. And I'd
Yep,
like
well said.
clarification.
Okay, she has it. So anything else in 28?
Yeah, page 104, when it goes down to equipment, and I think this may tie into it, I'm not sure, just no clarification on the equipment, the 3/4 and the 2-inch meter installations to be contracted out, it's up 500%. And is that it, what they're talking about, and does that tie into the meters that they're proposing to buy?
Right, good question on that, okay. Okay. We have it. So anything else in 28? We can move right to 29, sewer budget. Cost of everything going up, for sure. Anything in, again, 29? Okay, we can move right on to 30, sewer plant budget. We have 3 tabs left, so 30. Anything on 30? Okay. Moving to 31, solid waste.
This is a question probably for the council, those who have been here prior. Is any of this dealing with coastal, whatever at all? In the sense of any increase, has there been any increase request?
They're gonna, they have requested just recently, okay? And it's contractual, but it was such a minimum thing in that contract. We could hold our feet to the fire. We do, I don't have to tell y'all how difficult cities have, finding a dependable, reliable garbage collection company. All you gotta do is look across the lake and see that fiasco, how that works, right? They came to the city and asked us if they could increase their CPI, Consumer Price Index fee from, I think it was in the contract, 2%, or something like that, wasn't it? And they want to increase it up to something, price index today, probably 8%. I think they want to go to 5 or something like that. The cost of their fuel, the cost of.
Labor. It's just based on inflation.
Just hiring employees, it's going up. And it's a fair request. I don't know how the mayor's gonna want to handle it. It's gonna have to come to the council for approval. I don't know if he's even gonna bring it to the council, but they brought it to him. I know that.
And I'll have to say too, with coastal, remember, it was a while back, I don't know if you were on the council at the time, but they proposed an increase, and then we had to question them about it, and we said, hey, look, there was this, all this other stuff going on, and they rolled it back. So, I mean, I give that to them, they've been a great partner with us in the city, and I would have no problem.
It's fair.
Yeah, it's
It
very
really
fair.
is
Very
fair with
Especially
the
based on
way things
inflation.
are right now with the economy.
Yeah, just for transparency, if there is an increase being requested in the budget, I think that should be, discussed separately by the council.
Right.
Okay. Anything else on 31? The last is the bond of funds.
Discuss the lack of the fence for the Garden of Pines. But that's on the trust, so that's something different. Yeah, that's for the trust.
Okay, I think we covered everything tonight. I think it went well, smooth. Appreciate everybody's hard work on this. Anything else?
Yeah, I got just one more overall question. Because I think that last normal year anybody had was 2019, what state is the city in based off of 2000? And I know I can go back and look at the budget, but just from the mayor's perspective, from 2019 to now, what percentage are we operating at? Are we doing better? Are we doing worse? Are there things we need to work on? But knowing that using 2021 numbers from this budget are skewed numbers only because of all the difference that's been made, what does that look like compared to 2019?
Okay.
Just the what condition are we in based off of the last normality?
Okay, she's writing it down.
Yep.
Is there anything else before we break? And we'll just have a reminder, the next budget workshop with administration and department heads will be October 25th, 5:30 in these chambers. Okay, everybody have a great night. Thank you.